Thanks to everyone for coming. Brooks, thanks for coming down. It means a lot to have you here. Today represents the culmination of what was a very intensive, very thorough search for the next manager of the Baltimore Orioles. I am very pleased to be sitting here with Brandon Hyde and having brought him in to be the next leader of the next era of Orioles baseball. Throughout this search, it was an incredible experience for me. We had a great candidate pool, unbelievable candidate pool. Talked a lot of baseball, heard a lot of ideas from some of the top managerial candidates from around the league, and it was a very competitive process. And it was something that I could have gone in a number of different directions with. But what just stood out throughout the entire process for me, for us, were Brandon's unique qualifications and experiences for this job. And he's had a varied career across all different aspects of baseball operations, with a ton of experience in player development, but also major league coaching. And the experiences that he's had as a member of a front office, a member of a minor league coaching staff, a minor league manager, a major league coach, a bench coach across two different organizations, and as a player, as a catcher coming up, was just such a deep background and brought such a wide breadth of perspective to the way he views the game, the way he views the manager's role, the way he views the relationship between the manager's office and the front office, and certainly the specific mentorships that he benefited from in the Marlins organization and most recently in the Cubs organization. And then being such a huge part of building the Cubs organization into a world champion and a playoff caliber team year after year was very attractive to me and to us throughout this entire process. I also think that the approach and the personal characteristics that he's going to bring to this job are ideal. He is someone with a reputation and experience in connecting with players, communicating very openly with players, empathizing with players, which is very important in today's game. But he also has the same view that I do, that this is a partnership between the front office and the coaching staff. We are going to be working towards the same goals and doing so in a collaborative, open manner where we're communicating constantly. So to me, the connection that I felt personally in dealing with Brandon was very important as well. So I'm very excited to have him here today, to have him as part of this team, to have his help in what we're going to be doing here. And I'm very pleased to announce Brandon Hyde as our 20th manager in franchise history. So with that, I'm going to present him with his first Orioles cap and jersey and then turn things over to him.
Told to be patient. All right. Good.
Get the lid on.
Good. Yeah. Thanks. Oh, well, this is overwhelming. Thank you to everyone. I wrote some notes down here. Just want to say thank you to everyone for coming here today. I want to start off by saying how truly excited I am to be joining the Baltimore Orioles family. It's a very special community. It's a town with rich tradition, and I cannot wait to be a part of it. Being named manager of the Orioles is a dream come true, and I'm incredibly humbled to be here today. First off, I want to say thank you to the Angelos family for giving me the opportunity to manage your ball club. I understand the significance of this position, and I share your intense desire to put a winning team on the field for this great city and these great fans. Thank you to Mike Elias and Sig Meidel for how you treated me through the interview process. When we met, it was immediately clear to me that we share the same vision and passion toward building a winning culture, an elite organization, and a championship ball club. I cannot wait to get to work with you guys. There are a lot of people that have been so influential to me and my career. I feel fortunate for every opportunity I have had in this game, and I'm very lucky. I've been very lucky to work with amazing people that have shaped the kind of coach and person I am today. Thank you to Tom Ricketts and the Ricketts family for treating my family so wonderfully the past 7 years and being the first-class people you are. Thank you to Theo Epstein, Jed Hoyer, and everyone in the Cubs front office. Thank you for your loyalty, your trust, and your friendship. A special thanks to Jason McLeod for believing in me and bringing me to the Cubs in the fall of 2011. You empowered me to help change the culture in our farm system and organization, and I'm so proud of what it has become. Thank you to Mark Del Piano. He took a chance on me when he hired me as a single-A hitting coach in 2003 and has followed my career closely ever since. I want to thank John Courtwright, who's the best listener and advice giver I know. Thank you to all the talented coaches and players I've had the privilege to work with the Marlins and the Cubs organizations. I'm so blessed to have had the opportunity to work with amazing managers, Joe Madden, Ricky Renteria, Jack McKeon, and Edward Rodriguez. All treated me so well and with such great respect. I'm also fortunate to have an amazing support system back in my hometown of Santa Rosa, California. All my buddies I grew up with still live there, continue to keep me grounded, but they're also my biggest fans. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank my family, my loving and caring parents, Barry and Lucy, my wonderful sister, Lindsay, and sitting right here, my beautiful wife, Lisa, my daughters, Aria and Addison, and my son, Colton. So once again, I want to say thank you to Mike, Sig, and the Angelos family. I'm so happy to be here. I'm proud to be an Oriole, and I cannot wait to get to work. Thanks a lot.
Rockabatko with Masson. What was this interview process like for you, specifically important points that were touched upon, how it compared to other interviews that you went through this offseason, and when did you know for sure that this was your job?
Well, I think, like I said, to sit down with Mike and Sig when we met a couple weeks ago, seeing their vision. I've heard about Mike and Sig from the past, and was just really interested to hear what they had to say about this organization going forward. I thought we had a great day. We had a great day and evening at dinner. Great conversation. It was an easy conversation, and it was really intriguing to me at that point, and I really felt like it was a good fit.
Rob Long from the Fan. Taking over this ball club is pretty much reloading, or I guess rebuilding. Any similarities between this club and the Cubs organization that you were brought to at the beginning?
Yeah, I came to the Cubs in 2012, or the winter of 2011, and there were some similarities. We were very transparent at that time about how we were going to build, and we were going to build from within, and we were going to develop our farm system. We were going to change the culture in our farm system at the big leagues. But it was about getting talent, and developing that talent. And that was my goal at that time as a field coordinator and farm director. But being here as the major league manager, my goal is going to be develop the talent that's here. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody in the 40-man roster and to try to improve every single day.
Mike, what was your knowledge of Brandon before this process, and what led you to first interview him?
So shortly after getting my job, I immediately intensified the background work on putting together a managerial candidate pool, and called dozens of people, friends throughout the game, and honestly, his was the very first name that I heard, and these were some of my deepest contacts around the game, people that I trust the most. And every phone call that I made, his name always came up. So it was a pretty easy decision to have him on the candidate list. He's somebody that is viewed as an up-and-coming star in our business. So I'm very happy that we've landed him here.
Sean Stettner with WMAR-TV, ABC Channel 2. In his opening remarks, Mike talked about your reputation. What do you think your reputation is?
I hope good. I've always had a really good relationship with players and coaches, and I'm passionate about coaching, and I'm passionate about our players, and I think that comes out pretty authentic. So I would hope that my reputation coming into here would be a player development guy that loves the game, understands the grind, loves big league players, creates relationships, and those are the things that are really important to me.
Dan Connolly, The Athletic. Brandon, you've been in this game a long time, but it seems like, and Mike even said, an up-and-comer. And it seems like in the last few months, your stock really has risen as a managerial candidate. Why do you think that is after 2 decades in the game?
Well, I think that I was a average to below average minor league player that had to work for everything he got. Started as a single A hitting coach, just trying to hopefully someday be a big league coach with no expectations, just wanted to work, get players better. And I think that, I've just continued to get opportunities, have really good people around me. I'm so fortunate for the people that I've had the opportunity to work with. Made me better. Been surrounded by people that are better than me that have made me better along the way. And up until today or this off season is when the things started to happen a little bit. The timing of that, I'm not sure why. I think being a bench coach for Joe last year helped out a lot. And I've learned so much from him in the last 4 years, and being next to him every day this last year was absolutely fantastic. So obviously I feel really fortunate. I'm super pumped to be here and work with Mike, and I'm ready to get started.
Paul Mancano with Masson. Brandon, you talk about changing the culture from minor league level with the Cubs. What kind of things did you instill to change the culture?
Well, I think we brought in the right people. That was the first thing. Is we brought in passionate guys that love to coach, that like to get after it. The guys just want to be fully invested in the Cubs' way at that time. And I think we accomplished that, and that system got better quickly. And I think that's very, very possible. And we've come from two organizations that have had some down years, but all of a sudden get good real quick. And, that's going to be the process here, and we're looking forward to get that going.
John Muley with the Baltimore Sun. Mike mentioned a lot about the relationship that he wanted to have with the manager and the manager front office dynamic. Brandon, what do you see as the ideal dynamic for a manager and front office, the way the game is being played now?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I mean, the buzzword's collaboration, and that's true for me. To be able to have an open dialogue, a give and take, maybe healthy disagreements, but be able to have that relationship where you're able to get better with each other and be able to make solid decisions. But yeah, I think the ideal situation for me, and what I found out right away was somebody that I could have a working relationship with, become close friends with over time, and be able to have the daily interaction is super important.
Carpenter's press box. Brandon, what are your initial impressions of the type of talent as far as players you're inheriting here in Baltimore?
So to be 100% honest, I just got here. This happened pretty quick. My next order of business is going to be coaching staff, with Mike, collaborate with coaching staff, and I'm going to be getting as much video as possible to get to know our roster. I've been in the National League Central for the last 5 years, so we played you guys in 17. There's been a lot of roster turnover since then, but I'm going to get after and start watching video and get to know our guys, get on the phone, and start the relationship process early as possible.
Brandon, Peter Schmuck from the Baltimore Sun. How do you envision yourself as a major league manager? Do you think this is a team that's going to be a lot of young players, not very many veteran players, balancing being a tough guy and being a fatherly guy?
Yeah, I'm going to be myself. That's the answer to that. Be myself, and that I'm going to create great relationships with players. When you create great relationships, you're able to hold accountable. You're able to have tough conversations. Being able to coach veteran players as well as young players is a skill. And I've been fortunate to have all different kinds of teams as a coach. A team that's not very good to being a World Series champion. So I think that there's, the bottom line is to be yourself, be true to yourself every single day. Not be afraid of tough conversations, and it's all about staying positive throughout the process.
Hi, Brandon. Mark Viviano, CBS TV here in Baltimore. You mentioned at the outset being part of a tradition here in Baltimore. What is your perception of the organization and knowledge of it, and what is the significance of that for you as you and Mike begin what is your own new era here?
Well, that was what attracted me was sitting down with Mike and Sig all day long a couple of weeks ago and hearing them and listening to and knowing that their background of being in St. Louis and Houston, what they just did in Houston, and their ability to acquire talent and their ability to draft, and then hearing what they wanted from the Major League manager, I just felt like it was a really, really good fit. And I'm just looking forward to staying here this week and absolutely, figuring out a great, positive coaching staff that's going to focus on player development. And work with SIG and on the research and development team on things that we're going to put together going forward. So I think the whole package was most attractive thing to me through this whole thing.
Luke Jones, WNST. Brandon, in your role as a coach, how has that evolved from the time that you started in the minor leagues until now, knowing how prevalent analytics have become around the game?
Yeah, I mean, in the last 5-6 years, obviously there's been changes. R&D departments have grown. There's more analysts in the office. I think that we're both from progressive organizations, forward thinkers. So we kind of fit in that mold also. Coming from Houston, coming from the Cubs, where we put a lot of stock in our R&D department. Put a lot of stock in our coaches have great relationships with our analytics guys, and we've created a culture. We're going to create a culture here of open thinking, free conversation, where there's going to be creative ideas and staying positive throughout. So that's our kind of our goal here, is to take kind of what we just came from and bring it here.
Hi, Sarah Perlman with Masson. First and foremost, congratulations.
Thank you.
As far as Joe Maddon, what's probably the biggest thing you've learned from him, and do you see yourself being a manager similar to him? And also, when you look at this team and what Joe Maddon did in the rebuild, whether it was Tampa and taking over Chicago, have you had time to pick his brain a little bit in terms of taking over a team in this state? Yeah, actually, we just talked the other day. I'm a big Joe Maddon fan. I love Joe Maddon. He's treated me great. What I've learned the most from him, I think, consistency in how he is on a daily basis, how positive he is. I've told people through the interview process, we could lose 5 in a row and he's the same guy. We win 5 in a row. We win a playoff game. He's the same guy. I think that just created a sense of calmness throughout our team, and just always upbeat in this peaks and valleys in a game that we're in for 6 months of good times and bad times. His consistency was unbelievable. That's just the tip of the iceberg of all the things that I've learned from him. But that's what I've immediately found out my first year there with him, was like, God, this guy's so consistent. It's incredible.
One for Mike, one for Brandon. Mike, how much with analytics involved will that be involved with how Brandon manages, and will he be able to manage from the gut? And Brandon, what type of team would you like to personify, your first job here in Baltimore as you try and put it together when you have the input that you do in that respect?
With using advanced information, our job is to provide him with the best information that we can. And clubs all across baseball are very competitive in this space right now for obtaining and analyzing and then providing that information in a good way to the coaching staff, to the manager. So that's our job. All we ask of him is that he understands it and asks questions about it and participates in the process of producing it. And then it's his job to then bring his brain and his gut and everything else in the moment-to-moment decisions that there's human factors, there's real-time factors that occur. That's why you have a manager, and that's the manager's job during the game. So he's no stranger to this whatsoever because of where he's coming from. And in fact, the fact that he comes from the Chicago Cubs was attractive because I think he's going to bring ideas that are new to us and will make us smarter. So, this was an easy one.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on that, I mean, when we get the information from the R&D department, from analysts, it's our job as coaches to, first of all, want the information. I want as much information as possible. And then the good coaches are able to communicate that with the players because they have previous relationships with them, and the standpoint where I can have this conversation with you, and because there's trust there back and forth. So our job as coaches is to relay this information to the players in the best way possible. As to the type of team, obviously I want an aggressive team that knows how to play smart, smart baseball. Aggressive in the right moments, grind out at bat type of attitude. There's a lot of adjectives that go into what kind of team I would like, but I think you're going to always manage. You're always going to manage to your team and what the roster consists of, whether it's going to be a bunch of power guys or for some speed guys. Obviously, you like to have a balance of both. So that's the kind of club I would love to have.
Brandon, first of all, welcome to town. Stan Charles with Press Box. One of the most unusual things about your career, it seems, at 45 to have been bench coach for 4 different managers. How does that...
Maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe
I think it's pretty unusual. How does it make you feel about who you'd like to have as a bench coach? A 35-year-old version of you, or somebody that's 55 or 60 who's been around?
Yeah, we've talked about that. I think how we slot our coaching staff is going to be by fit. I just want to get the best guys available. We're realistic in that we're late in the game. And it's mid-December, and we don't have a coaching staff yet. So we're starting that order of business after this is over. And we're just going to go through ideas. We're going to collaborate on the right fit, whether that's an older, more experienced bench coach or someone my age or younger. We haven't quite decided that yet.
Jerry Sandusky, Channel 11. Brandon, in your interview process, did you get a sense of timeline from the organization of how long you think it'll take to be competitive again in the AL East?
No. I think we're taking this one step at a time. We understand where we are, and we're going to be process based. A lot of Mike and Sig's job is going to be to get as much talent in here as possible, and my job is going to be to develop it in the big leagues. So however long that takes. But I feel confident that we're gonna hire a good coaching staff that's willing to work and willing to get after it. And but no timetable, no.
Joe Trezza with MLB. I read somewhere, and tell me if I'm wrong, that the first and only game you ever coached here before 2017 was the first game after you were promoted to bench coach in 2011.
10.
In 2010. Do you remember anything about that day being here?
Yeah, I do. I was talking about it earlier. Yeah, my first big league game, I was an interim bench coach, was here. I got a call in the morning at 6 in the morning telling me I needed to be in Baltimore, and they couldn't tell me why. And I land, and my phone is blowing up because it just came off across the wire that some guys had got let go. Great guys, friends of mine. And so then I was bench coach for the rest of that year in 2011. But that was my intro into the big leagues, was getting off the plane, and all of a sudden you're a major league bench coach with a manager that had never been a major league manager. So it was an interesting day for sure.
Career has led you here.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, we talked about that yesterday. There's a lot of things that are kind of strange. The reason why I'm here today. So it's been a great process. That was a special day for me in that it was my first day as an official big league coach, and I just remember it being such a whirlwind. But fortunately, I had been with a lot of those players before. But yeah, that was a weird transition for sure.
Bruce Cunningham, Fox 45. As major league managerial jobs go, how does the Baltimore Orioles managerial position rank?
For me? Well, it better be number one.
The question was, there's a tradition here and things like that. Does that add to the cachet of taking this job?
Oh, absolutely. That's right. Yeah, the rich tradition here. Like Brooks Robinson sitting here, right? I'm in my my new office, and there's pictures of Earl Weaver and Cal Ripken Sr. It's like, I grew up a baseball rat. That new history, new tradition, and to be around history and to be involved in a city like Baltimore, it's a dream come true to be in the American League East and going out compete every single night. That's something you dreamt about forever.
The Baltimore Sun. Brandon, you mentioned how the process you and Mike were going to take was kind of just do it day by day, no timelines, nothing like that. When you start making calls to the players you're inheriting, how are you going to relay that message to them, and what do you want them to take away from a phone call with you for the first time?
It's before I even get there. It's going to be a get to know. I'm going to create the relationship from them as people, and then as we go along, then we'll start talking baseball. But I want them to feel comfortable with me. This is a hard game. This is the big leagues, and I have so much respect for the major league player and be able to perform every single night. So I want to help them as much as I possibly can. And so to be able to start off on the right foot and get to know them as people on the phone, probably fly out to see a bunch of guys, I can't wait to get that started.
And Connolly, yeah, I'll make again. Brandon, obviously, from the moment you met Mike a couple weeks ago, you knew that was the last available job managerially for 2019. Can you take us through what those emotions were like from that point until, Mike got for the job, you had the job, and all the stuff that was swirling around your name as well? What was that emotional track like for you?
Well, I talked to a lot of clubs after the season. I was the bench coach for Joe Madden, Chicago Cubs. I was very, very happy with and looking forward to trying to win the National League next year. In a great situation, working for unbelievable people and with a really, really good team. So whatever happened. I wasn't wanting to force anything or I just wanted to kind of see. I was getting an opportunity to talk with a bunch of clubs, and I wanted to kind of see what it looked like from the other. I've only been in 2 organizations. So I was really lucky to be able to meet a bunch of different executives and see how other organizations are run. To have the opportunity to speak with Mike and to have this opportunity here, once that happened, I was really excited and still excited, and can't wait to get spring training started.
Rich DeBraw from BaltimoreBaseball.com. Brandon, you're going to the American League. You've never been, you've never been in the American League as a coach, and you're going to a team that you're pretty unfamiliar with. You don't know a lot of the players here. What is that going to be? Is that at all daunting to you?
I don't think daunting. I think more it is. I'm anxious to get it started. I'm looking forward to putting our staff together getting to know our players, getting down to Sarasota, and ready to go compete in the American League East. It's not daunting. I think it's more of I'm excited to get it started.
You mentioned establishing these relationships with players. Obviously, you're young and as a first-time manager and working with a guy like Joe Madden. In today's game, and especially with younger players, how important is it to have that relationship and just kind of be that player's manager, have the open door in the game in general?
Yeah, I think it's vital. I think it's one of my strengths. It's always been one of my strengths, is to be able to just communicate. I want to believe I'm a really good communicator, honest. And I think because when you have that relationship, you can have tough conversations and you can really, really coach at that point. So I'm not going to change that as a manager. That's who I am. And, I'm looking forward to getting to know 25 guys. I think the only guy I know is Cashner, who I had in the Fall League in 2009. So there's a lot of guys for me to get to know quickly, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Brandon, Peter Schmuck again from the Baltimore Sun. Obviously, the team you're coming to, you're going to have to be instructing and teaching at the major league level.
Yeah.
How do you view that as you go forward to choose a coaching staff? I mean, just talk about the emphasis on that as you head to spring training.
Yeah, that's one of the obviously going to be a major requirement when we talk about coach staff here this week. Is going to be, we're looking for player development guys and guys that are really, really passionate about getting players better. Around the league, there's a lot of development that's happening in the big leagues. In Chicago, there was a lot of development that's happening. Our guys were getting there so fast, and we're winning games that we need to develop our guys quick. When I was in the Marlins organization, there was a lot of young guys that got there. That there was still a ton of development that was happening in the big leagues. It's the same here, and it's really a lot throughout the big leagues, like I said. So I think we're looking for people that are, like I said, passionate about coaching and grinders that just want to get guys better.
For Mike, Sean Stepner with WMAR TV Channel 2 ABC. So now that you have your manager in place, what's number one priority, or run down the list of priorities for you in the near future?
Well, as Brandon said, we need to get to work immediately on filling out the coaching staff. But simultaneously, we have really all manner of baseball operations projects going on. We've got meetings scheduled throughout the week with every member of the front office. And these are things that, frankly, have been slowed down a little bit because of the breadth and depth of our managerial search and how important it was to get the right person in this chair. So having him here really is going to allow me to turn my attention towards the other areas of baseball operations in a more direct and focused way. So I'm looking forward to that.